Everybody, it's Matt Mayo. Good. NBC Sports Bay Area coming at you on Thursday afternoon with an update from practice. Didn't look like there were any changes to the team's injury report based on who was out there at the beginning of practice. I did notice, however, that Jordan Mason, who did not have a blue no contact jersey on during practice Wednesday, was outfitted in that jersey on Thursday. So whether he banged his shoulder and had any kind of setback or anything of that nature remains to be seen, but just something to keep an eye on because he had been bothered by that shoulder injury for a couple of weeks now and actually had to exit the October 27th game against the Dallas Cowboys. But he was back on the practice field, a full go at practice on Wednesday. So we'll see when the official report comes out if he was limited or what the nature of his participation in practice was. First, I wanted to let you know that this is brought to you by Canyon Club Brewery. It's a brewery, a beer garden, a restaurant featuring tasty bites, and is located in the family-friendly atmosphere in Moraga. So you can bring your kids, bring your pets. In some cases, maybe they're one and the same, and hang out by the fire pit and enjoy some nice beverages and also some tasty food as well. And also, Canyon Club Brewery coming soon to the Livery in Danville. So check that out. I know I certainly will be checking it out. Okay, so not much has changed on the injury front for the 49ers, I don't believe. I think everybody is still basically a go for this game, at least the real notable guys. I think Christian McCaffrey will be cleared. Watched him in practice warming up. He looks like he's fine to go. Deebo Samuel also had the blue no contact jersey on. I think he'll be ready to go. Juwan Jennings looks like a full go as well. Um, in addition to the 49ers opening, of course, the practice window for McCaffrey, they also opened it this week for offensive lineman Jon Feliciano, who started a lot of games late in the season last year and started in the Super Bowl at right guard, and also Yetur Gross-Matos. But for this video, I want to focus in on the offensive line because I know it's always a big conversation point among the fan base about the 49ers and their offensive line. A lot of people, and I don't blame them for this, a lot of people thought that the 49ers should have invested their first round draft pick on the offensive line. And I would almost go so far as to say that it worked out better for them that they didn't, because when you look at the offensive lineman they got in the third round, Dominic Pooney, he is a guy that as position flexibility can literally play any position on the offensive line. In fact, the only position he did not play in college was right guard, and that's the position that he has started at and played so well for the 49ers, starting in training camp when Spencer Burford was injured, when Feliciano was injured. 49ers put Pooney in there. And I just remember a part early in training camp when Pooney started playing well and started to impress Chris Foerster, the offensive line coach. Chris made a comment like, yeah, it might be that the rookie is playing well and has done nothing to lose that job, but do you really want to start a rookie week one Monday Night Football against the New York Jets? And as time went on, I think he proved to everybody that he was the right pick. Not that they really had another option at that point, but Pooney has taken that job and there is no turning back for him. But what I want to talk about the offensive line is from this standpoint. I've repeatedly stated that I think the 49ers offensive line is right there as far as maybe a top 10 offensive line, certainly closer to 10 than to 1. And part of my reasoning is you can't have the number 2 overall offense in the league, number 4 in passing, number 2 in rushing, unless the offensive line is doing a lot of really good things. And the 49ers this week know that their defense is going to be up against, I would consider, one of the best offensive lines in all of football. That belongs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so, in fact, uh, Nick Bosa said this week that they've really impressed him as far as that offensive line. And Tristan Wirfs is a guy that is considered, rightfully so, one of the best offensive tackles in the game, and he has the contract to prove it. So I just want to go through some numbers from PFF about the 49ers offensive line. And well, let's start off with this. Let's do a little comparison. Baker Mayfield has been sacked 22 times this season. And 7 of those came in one game. And that game was, interestingly enough, against the Denver Broncos. So 22 sacks allowed for Baker Mayfield. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy has been sacked 15 times. So, yes, Tampa Bay has played one more game than the 49ers, but 7 more sacks for Mayfield than Purdy, and 6 of those sacks for Purdy came against the Minnesota Vikings. Another interesting thing to note, however, is that according to PFF, very few of those sacks, both from Mayfield and for Purdy, have been blamed on offensive line play. So we're seeing Purdy hold the ball longer, run around a little bit, get some yards with scrambles. And that's kind of what Baker Mayfield does too. So a lot of the sacks assigned to Mayfield and Purdy have been basically no one's responsible on the offensive line for those protection breakdowns. Now, I do realize that there have been times where a guy gets in and forces Purdy to move around and make a play and buy some time. And so, that I think that does reflect, obviously, on the offensive line, but it doesn't reflect in the sack numbers or the hit numbers. So for the 49ers starting offensive line, um, the only offensive linemen who have been blamed for sacks this season have been Aaron Banks with 1, Trent Williams with 1, and Colton McKivitz with 1. So only 3 sacks total have been blamed on the 49ers offensive line. However, they have been, Purdy has been hit 12 times due to lapses or not good plays by the 49ers offensive line, and 6 of those have been from McKivitz. So he has allowed 6 hits on Purdy, and including one play where Purdy was hit as he was throwing, and the ball ended up being an interception. Now, where Tampa Bay is much better than the 49ers from that regard is that they've given up 3 sacks for their offensive line, same number of sacks, but only 3 hits on the quarterback. And I guess the number one guy, like I said, Tristan Wirfs is the best of the bunch. No sacks, no hits allowed for the 49ers. The best of their bunch is the aforementioned Dominic Pooney, who also no sacks, no hits allowed. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level, certainly an all rookie level. And who knows, some might even say an all pro level, the rookie Dominic Pooney. So looking at it, Jake Brendel, no sacks allowed, 2 quarterback pressures. And that leads me into Jon Feliciano. 49ers opened the practice window for him, and I think a lot of people thought, well, are they going to replace anybody on the offensive line? Well, it's not going to be Pooney, it's not going to be Aaron Banks, and it's not going to be Jake Brendel. So those were the 3 guys. And Chris Foerster was asked about that, and he said that Feliciano comes to the 49ers as a backup player, or I should say he returns to the 49ers as a backup player after ending last year as a starter. And so what the 49ers have done at the backup positions is Jalen Moore has been the swing tackle. Spencer Burford has been the guard who can play in either spot. And Nick Zakelj is the backup center. Now I think what you're looking at for the 49ers from the backup position is Jalen Moore will continue to be the backup offensive tackle. And now I think once Feliciano proves that he's up to speed and he knows all the positions, those interior positions inside and out, he will be the backup guy at both center and guard. And the way Chris Foerster explained it was that they're very happy with the offensive line as currently constituted. However, they will feel like if they need a backup player at either the guard or center positions, that Feliciano gives them a starting caliber player at both of those spots. So again, a lot has been made about the 49ers and their investments in the offensive line. And so I just want to take you through that. When you look to the future of this position with the 49ers, Aaron Banks is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. I think it's highly unlikely they're able to re-sign him because what you've seen around the league is when starting caliber offensive linemen become available, teams will pay a premium to get that player, especially an offensive lineman off of a successful offensive line. And so, as I mentioned, the 49ers offense has been a success despite their difficulties in the red zone. That'll probably be helped out quite a bit with Christian McCaffrey coming back. But an offensive lineman, a starting offensive lineman off the number 2 ranked offense in the league, there are going to be a lot of suitors for that. So how do the 49ers look to move on next year? Well, certainly the draft is open for them to take an offensive lineman at any point in next year's draft. Uh, Jake Brendel will still be around. He didn't get his first starting job with the 49ers until the age of 30, but he has signed a contract extension that puts him on the team through 2027. McKivitz is under contract through next season, the end of 2025. And then Trent Williams, of course, signed his new contract, puts him in the fold with the 49ers until the 2026 season. And then, of course, Pooney has this year and 3 more left. So Pooney is kind of the wild card to me as far as the future of the 49ers, because I really do think that if Trent Williams decides someday that he's going to stop playing football, I really think the 49ers might first look at Dominic Pooney being the guy that takes over there long term. I don't think Pooney will be the right guard forever with the 49ers. I think that they're going to use him wherever they feel like they need him most. But, if you look at the backup players here, Jalen Moore is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. Will they re-sign him? I'm sure they'd like to if the price is right, and I can't imagine it wouldn't be right. Ben Barch is also an unrestricted free agent, but 2 of the backups I mentioned, Nick Stickel and Spencer Burford, are both signed through 2025. So when you look at the 49ers offensive line right now, I think they are set unless something dramatic happens with their starters and their top backups, with Feliciano coming to the team. And of course, Feliciano has to decide. He called it his last ride when he signed that 1-year contract with the 49ers in the offseason. We'll see if he wants to re-up for another year. 49ers would want him back. But I think for the future of the offensive line, probably add another starting caliber offensive lineman in the offseason through the draft, see if they can get a day 1 starter. If not, who's going to be the starting left guard next year? Could it be Aaron Banks? Of course it could be, but it also could be Burford or Pooney or Ben Barch or Zakel. So that's what we're looking at as far as the 49ers, the future of the offensive line. But I do think that by and large, maybe with the exception of one player, the same offensive line that you see right now with the 49ers will probably be back for the 2025 season. So I know some of you probably won't be happy to hear that. That's just my opinion based on where the 49ers are from a contractual standpoint and their salary cap. I think that, they're not going to be throwing around a lot of money at that particular position when you have so many other spots on the team that are due for big contracts or big contract raises. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. You can vent in the comments section, or you can just flat out tell me, I think you're wrong, Matt. I think they're going to do this and this and this. They're going to sign this guy. They're going to do that. Love to hear from you. Once again, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, a like, turn on your notifications, and that's it for now.